This video is going to be a little bit different than my other ones. Right, this one really doesn't have much to do with lasering, except I get a lot of requests from people asking me, where do I get all my wood from? Well, I'm pretty cheap. I will say that right now, and I do believe in recycling. So almost all of my boxes that I made literally hundreds of boxes, and my art pieces that I make are all done using recycled materials for the most part. Not entirely, but mostly recycled materials. So where do I get the recycled materials? Well, there's a couple of places, but the main one that I go for is kitchen cabinets that have been thrown away. And usually I can get these at our local Restore, which is our Habitat for Humanity store. Now in the past I used to be able to get these for $1 each. And that's a pretty good deal for this type of a wood. But lately they've been about $2 each, and that's still a pretty good deal. So these are usually my favorite types right here, the full cabinet size. Some get wider, some are really tall, and various different types of wood. I get cherry, I get butternut, I get maple, I get oak, I get white oak, I get hickory, pecan every once in a while. And it's really not that hard to take $1 or $2 board and turn it into something that I can use for my art. In some cases I don't even have to do anything. I can use it raw. So I can take something like this, clean it up a little bit. Doesn't really need much cleanup. And then I can engrave some patterns on here, or some art, or maybe do a photograph or something like that, though I generally don't do photographs with my laser. I usually engrave something, and I'll show you some examples in a few seconds. Or you can break this apart, and that's what I like to do because it gives me great pleasure to break this apart. And since I have a cove over here that's useless to me, I just cut it out so that I get this little section over here. And on some pieces I get really big usable pieces, and on others, well, I don't get so much. And this is probably the smallest one that I would actually buy. But this would still allow me to do 2 boxes at least, and that, as far as one side is concerned. Or maybe 2 boxes if I use this only for the side. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is breaking this apart. So first I'll show you some examples of the used wood and what I do with the cabinets, and then we'll go ahead and do some break aparts. So for this demonstration you only need 3 tools. You need 1 pair of safety glasses, which I think is very important, a pair of needle nose pliers to remove any nails out of the wood, and I use a 3-pound sledgehammer, though a regular hammer would probably suffice. So I'm going to put on the glasses and show you how I take it apart. So I have a block of wood underneath, and I support it, and then this one's coming apart really nice. Okay, so that gives me the inside. Sometimes I have to do all 4 sides, but this one came out pretty nice. So as you can see, I now have this section, and I have these. Now these are probably crap now because I broke them, but they're still usable. I would cut them, and then I could resaw them, and I could use them for ornaments or decorations, or maybe even trays. So, okay, so now that I got this taken apart, The next problem is shutting it down so it's only this little piece here. And for that, I'll use a table saw. Okay, so on my table saw, I'm going to set the fence up so that I can cut just this edge right over here. Flip it over, line it up again. Choices. You can either use a miter and do a 90-degree over here, or what I do is I have a sled. Now this sled is set up for 90 degrees, and it just gives me better control over what I cut. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you can see I am now done, and I've got a nice little board that I can do further work with. Not that hard. So this here is my storage area, and you can see that these are all of my boards that I've cut up, and these are what I use to make my boxes. Very simple. These are about the only leftover pieces that I have after I get done. Usually I just throw these away, but if you have an outside pit, fire pit or something, this is great to use. I wouldn't recommend putting this on the inside of the house because any varnishes or shellacs or finishes that you have here with oil would get into the house, and you don't want that. You don't want to breathe any of that. But outside, throwing them into a fire pit, no big deal. Okay, now the sides that we cut off, I got plenty of them. You can see this is from maple that I had cut off. This is from the butternut or whatever this wood happens to be. What I do is I resaw it, and I'll put that on my bandsaw and I'll saw it in to about a little over an 1/8 inch thick. That's what these are, and you can see how thin these things are. And what they are is I started out like this, put them through on my bandsaw, and I got these flat little pieces. Now these flat little pieces are great because you can use them to make these little ornaments if you want, and I showed a Christmas ornament, but birds, bow ties, or whatever you want to make, or you can even cut out names. Okay. So this one is me. So that fits on a piece, not a problem. And that's how I cut this out. So very, very little waste. And I can use these for the sides of my trays that I make for my boxes. Very easy to cut these out on the laser, notch them out, and bang, I'm done. So, bottom line, very cheap. I get most of my stuff at the Restore. You could get this somewhere else. You can, talk to your building supply places, cabinet refinishing people who go in and, do refits from kitchens. And you might be able to luck out into some cheap and low-cost wood that would really help make your projects.